9. Let's move it over. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, he's going to do it.
Good morning. Just waiting for the music to be turned down before I introduce. Thank you. Good morning, church. Good morning, brothers and sisters. You're previously blessed with a testimony from my little sister here. She's a woman of God, a daughter, a sister, a wife, a dedicated mother, an advocate, an author, a trailblazer. It is my pleasure to introduce to you my fellow alum and friend, founder and president of the Staple-Ebanks Foundation and the Staple-Ebanks Advocacy Group for Children, Mrs. Christine Staple-Ebanks.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, I shared earlier, good morning again, I shared earlier that some persons have to leave, and so I won't go back into the beginning. But I just wanted to share this morning that it takes a village. It takes a village. Can I just ask, I know you're eating, can you just repeat after me, it takes a village? It takes a village. Next slide. And so I shared about my entry into disability because before my son was born, I didn't know that there were children with disabilities because I never saw them. I have a nephew with autism and that was the extent of it, but I never saw them. And so one of my favorite scriptures, Psalm 139, 13 to 14, for you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I'm fearfully and wonderfully made, came to light. How do you believe that when you get a gift that is broken? How do you believe that when you get a child who, from you were pregnant, there were problems, and doctors say, Mom, your baby may not live? How do you believe that when your child, after you go through the struggles and you believe that you're over and out of it, only to be entered into a new space of struggle where you're told he will never? That's what the doctor told me. My son was 9 months when we got the diagnosis, and the doctor, the neurologist, told me what he would never, ever, ever do. And when he was telling me all the stuff, and he said, you know, so don't bother spend your money because he will never, ever, ever. And I sat and I listened to him, and my husband was there, and he said, I was writing as he was talking, and he says, Mom, I don't think you heard me. Your son will never, ever, ever. Do you have any questions? And I said to him, I'm writing. And he says, you're not taking this seriously. And I said to him, au contraire, I am. I said, because you see, there is a God who says, he knit him together in my womb. He's fearfully and wonderfully made. So he's the one who's going to have to tell me. So doctor, you're doing your best. And I went home with all of the reports, and I spread it on my bed, and I got on my knees. And I said, God, this is what man say. What do you say? And it took me a while, next slide please, to hear God, because I was seeing the waters was troubled. I was seeing the issues that I was living on. This is the first view of my child after he was born. I almost fainted. I did not know what his face looked like for the first 21 days of his life because of that thing. There were tubes coming all out of him. And I said, God, is this the gift that you have given me? Next slide, please. Then the doctor was looking after him. She was a surgeon, I nicknamed her Dr. Doom. Because everything I asked her about the baby, she told me what he would never do. He was days old. And so I just stopped listening to her. And I didn't stop listening to her. I did the best thing I could. Every time she started speaking, I mentally put my hand in my ears and go, la, 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 la. Because I was not listening to her. There was me holding him for the first time at 22 days old. There was he when I came in one day at a hospital and he wasn't in the incubator, and I thought he had died because I saw so many children dying around us the period we were there. And when I walked past him, the nurses were smiling and they said, "You actually passed your son at the entrance because he's getting better." And I asked them, should he be breathing on his own? And they said, yes, he's on his way out. And those are his two sisters holding him for the first time. Next slide, please, Kristen. And so with this gift, that was him at 9 months when we were given the diagnosis. And so I spoke about asking God to help me, go back please, to help me to see the disability through his eyes. I had to learn to see beyond the disability, and I couldn't do it on my own because the system was telling me that he was broken. The system was telling me what he will never do. The system saw the disability. They talk about my disabled baby, and guess what? I saw him the way the system saw him. So the child, the gift from God, was hidden for 2.5 years. As I lamented, my poor me, what did I do? Why this happened to me? And my beautiful baby was hidden because of the disability. And so I met Daniel in 2008 because I was running around trying to find out kind of therapist to fix him. And I met Daniel. And to cut a long story short, Daniel was born without a brain. Anybody in the medical science here? He was born with a brain stem. At the time I met him in 2008, Daniel was 27. And his mother said that the hospital told her he would not survive. So they wanted to take him for medical treatment, for research. And she said the night after he was born, her church came and prayed. And the next morning, the doctor said that some cells had grown on his brain stem. That's all he had. So she decided to keep him. When I met Daniel, Daniel was serving in ministry with her in Florida. Daniel, when you look at him, everything that therapist told me needed to be in place for a child to walk or talk. He had none of them. But not only did he walk and talk, but he sang. And he loved God. And when he met me, he said, "Miss Christine, can I pray for you?" And I was so ashamed because I was feeling sorry for him. And he prayed, "God, this is your daughter. Take her and use her according to the plan you have for her." Amen. Best prayer ever prayed over me. Because it was the will of God that he prayed. And so Daniel, as I watched him, the Spirit of God said to me, if I can do all of that with somebody born without a brain, what is impossible for me to do? And so he began to teach me how to see my son and love him unconditionally. Next slide, please. And so that is Nathan getting his first bout of therapy. We had to take him up again, and that was me learning what it meant and the care. And after we were done, I went back home after a few weeks wanting to reach out and share the hope that I had gotten with other parents. And that was the genesis of the Staple-Ebanks Foundation. Next slide, please, Kristen. And so I had to begin the journey of learning to see God's purpose in my child's disability. And one day a friend of mine, and you hear how many people in the village, it takes a village, said to me, "I notice you're always talking about everything that was wrong with your son. You know, you've never had a birthday party for him like you did with the others. You've never celebrated his birth. You keep saying that God said he gave you a gift, but you're waiting on the gift to happen." And she said, "We need to have a praise party for him." He was 3 years old. So we had a party and we just celebrated God and just praised God for him and just thanked God for him. But that was a part of my journey for the Lord to begin to help me to understand that this was a child of purpose in purpose, and that he selected the family that he has put him in. And so it is not that man's sin is one of my favorite scripture, and Pastor spoke about it this morning when the disciples asked, who sinned for the man that was blind? And Jesus answered, nobody sinned, but the man was born this way so that the glory of God could be made manifest. And so I began through that to see Nathan as a gift from God. Those are some of the children that we're supporting in one of the homes in Jamaica. Next slide, please, Kristen. And so I had to change my vantage point. I had to change my perspective about what I was seeing in my child, and out of that, the Staple-Ebanks Foundation was born, and we began just advocating, then we began training, then we were in the classrooms helping teachers, we're in the home helping the caregivers, because a lot of the children are institutionalized, helping the caregivers. We discover that 99.9% of people who work with children with disabilities in Jamaica have never had a disability training. And so we had children dying from toothache, children dying from tooth extraction, children dying from complication, aspiration, because they can't speak and because, of all that is happening and there's nobody there to represent them. And so it was out of all of this that the Staple-Ebanks Children Advocacy Group was formed as a 501c3. And I want to take this opportunity to just thank all of the persons who've really been a part of this journey. Some of the persons are right here at this church who have not met me but have given to the work in kind or time. And I want to say thank you so much. And again, thank you for the ladies who are here with me to bring to our knowledge and awareness this work that is done in Jamaica. Next slide, please. And so it takes a village. I had to learn that every child mattered. It had nothing to do with their ability. It had to do in that they are created in the image and likeness of God. And that is the message that I take to all of my fellow Jamaicans. And that's the message that we continue to use to inspire parents to think differently about their parents. The All Villages Matter is a campaign because we have a vision of setting up a developmental training center in Jamaica that will become the catalyst for providing a lot of that training that I said that is missing, but to model it in a way that others can take it on. Next slide, please. And so that's just some of the work that we do. The one to the left, that's a part of our rehab support where we work and we get volunteers who are therapists who actually come in and we go into the homes, the children homes, and we provide people in basic things like how to properly position a child when you're feeding them so they won't choke on their own food. How to put a child without equipment using pillows so that their hips won't fall out of the socket. So we want to be able to improve the quality of life for the children. Next slide, please. And so the work that we do is in 4 areas. We train from policymaker, we say from policy to grassroots or from grassroots to policy. To begin to look at how do we support this invisible population. By the way, it's a very large population. It is approximately 20% of the Jamaican population fall into the realm of cognitive, physical, mental, social, or emotional disabilities. We also do a lot of advocacies, including we just got established 2 years ago, the National Child and Adolescent Mental Health Awareness Day in May, to bring focus to the mental health issues, because we found children with mental health conditions are high, but they were not on the agenda because everything was focused on the adult. And so we also worked with one of the ministries to establish a statement of inclusion to talk about how as a nation we're going to be including children with disabilities. We connect with individual partners at home and abroad because we ain't got the money. And so we know that there are people with the money, people with the time, people who want to give back. And so we create a way, and so many people we've met in the diaspora have said that they've been for years wanting to give back to Jamaica, but they have not been able to find a structured and organized way of doing that. And so we connect you to a cause because we believe that it takes all of us under God to do the work that is needed to be done. And of course, we find that the area of children with disabilities is understudied. About 4 years ago, we approached UNICEF Jamaica to fund one of our projects, and we get a lot of no's. If no's were horses, we'd have a whole heap of horses all over the place. But we approached UNICEF, and in making our pitch to UNICEF about supporting the work, UNICEF Jamaica, the sector manager said to me, you know, we have never focused on children with disabilities, and we never realized that. So coming out of that one discussion, UNICEF in 2012 published the state of children with disabilities around the world. And this year, I know that they're working to now try to improve the research information, because it's an area that we don't study much, and so it's difficult for us to understand how to support. So my final slide is, what can you do? There's so many ways that you can help us. We have our first campaign that we're running. And one of them has a 100 for 100, where we're looking for 100 persons to give $100. That will go a far way. We have staff working in Kingston who are not paid from February gone, but they're committed to the work. And so we need that support. We have been able to tap into some grants, but the grants come and they only pay for the implementation of the project. They don't pay administration costs. And so we're looking for creative ways for people who want to support the cause. And so we have these cards handing out. We have the fundraiser running now, where you can go online and give, or you can give right here. We have my book, Raising Nathan, Every Life Has a Story, because I found when I got started there was no material written on Jamaican by Jamaican. And so all the materials I read about learning to work with disabilities came from first world countries, and it made me very angry because we had none of those services. It was very frustrating. So what I've done is journey the information, and now it is serving policy in helping them to understand what I call the lived life of persons with disabilities, so they can understand what supports are needed. It is also supporting parents in learning to find the trinkling, the little drizzles of services that are available. And it is empowering parents to say, you have a right. Jamaica is signatory to the Convention of Rights for Persons with Disabilities. So if the government don't provide a service, you can go to the UN about it. It is about raising up the voice of parents so that they ask. It's about raising up the voice of persons with disabilities, many of whom finish the few schools that are there and end up not doing anything at all because there's no employment. And so it's about to say to them, you have a right to be included and you need to raise your voice. And so it is available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble, and we have a few copies here. And so we also know that there are people who are professionals and they may be coming down for vacation, and you're a psychologist or an occupational therapist, and you want to give us a day of your time. We welcome that, and we organize clinics so that the children who have no other way of accessing these kinds of service can at least get some of the services that are available. And of course, if you want to organize fundraisers for us, we'd be very happy. We have a team of persons who are here, and I'd like to introduce them. I don't know if anybody knows this lady. She's Carlene Castro, and she's right here. So she is on the board of the organizations and one of our designated fundraisers. The lady in yellow is Denise Marsh, and she resides in Queens, Long Island, and so she is available as well. And we have several other people, including Simone Vanister in the back. Simone has been working. And so Simone Sobers, she lives in Queens, and so they provide access as well. And so one of the ways, we have a Facebook page, and so you can just come and like on Facebook page and share our information and share it on your page. Because, can I see the hands of those persons who are Jamaicans or Jamaican descent? All right, we have quite a bit of them. We, in our national pledge that was written by Father Sherlock, under divine inspiration, calls strengthen us the weak to cherish. Give us vision lest we perish. In our anthem, in our pledge, we commit before God and all mankind. And we promise to brotherhood and service. So we're called as servant leaders. That's who we are as Jamaicans. And also in the Caribbean, I'm not leaving anybody out, there is a sense of leadership that is there. And we are saying that this leadership is needed back home, because when you don't know what you don't know until you know. And so for many people in Jamaica, they don't know that children with disabilities or persons with disabilities can live normal, quote, lives. They don't know that supports are available because they've never experienced it. So a part of the help that you can give is to just provide ways of connecting the information that you have based on your exposure here back to us in the islands. And that is one way of opening the eyes so that we can have a better understanding of what it is that can be done and where the resources are available. So that is it. Oh, and Karine, where's Karine? This is because they disappeared. Karine.
Camera right here.
Oh, there she is holding the camera. She's in Connecticut. And let me tell you, she has been mobilizing people. And she tell them, they don't have a choice. She said, you're buying a book. And so she has this is tremendous source of just galvanizing with support. Because, you see, we have an opportunity to change the course of a nation. But it takes more than one, because it takes a village. So thank you very much for your time, and I'll be here if you have any questions.
You're not going to open it up for questions? People may have questions for you. Carlene? Okay, somebody have any questions? So then you ask.
Does anyone have any questions to Christine? Yes. The book is $40. It's okay if you don't have the money today?
The book is $24, but because it's a fundraiser, it's $40.
So it's $24 on Amazon, but as a fundraiser, we're asking for $40. If you don't have the money today, it's fine. We can always give it.